The Chevney Alumni Association of Nigeria has received funding from the Chevney Alumni Program to organize an essay competition for Nigerian students. In a statement on Wednesday this week, the association said the competition is part of its community service endeavors. The essay topic, Alternative Narratives to Illegal Migration Among Young People in Nigeria. According to the statement, the competition is to encourage discussion among young people on the risk of illegal migration. So joining us now to talk further about this at this event is Dr. Abiodun Adeniyi, Associate Professor of Mass Communication, based University of Abuja, Nigeria. And it's a pleasure to welcome you to the program. Doctor, we'll go straight to it now. We know that there's a problem of mass migration. It cannot be overemphasized. In the thick of the current realities, economic realities, further heighten this. The numbers are staggering. Nigerians are dying across the Mediterranean. What are the conversations that will be expected in this essay, as incentives to even make people stay in the country in the first place?
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me, Dr. Ruben Adeleye Abati, Rufai Oluwaseun Oseni, and Queen Adesua Omoran. I appreciate the opportunity you have given us, but if you allow me, first I'll give a quick context, and it is this. The Chevney Alumni Association of Nigeria is an association of professionals, businessmen who have been fortunate to undergo a one-year master's degree program under the sponsorship of the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, And most of us are here, contributing our quota from our anecdotal little corner, And of course, we have as members, members who cut across different sectors of the nation's political and economic life. In the media, for instance, we have Dr. John Momo, Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Channels Television, who was recently our president. We have Simon Kolawole of the Cable, Dana Pova of Abuja Inquirer, and we have Ijoma Oyato, Kadari Ahmed, Christian Ogodo, our own Christian Ogodo, Eugenia Abu, Ace Broadcasters, and on that list as well, we have Rahimat Momodu. In banking, of course, we have masquerades, like Adesola Adedunton, CEO of First Bank, and his opposite number in Access Bank, Habat Wigwe. We have Mudashura Lunge of Vetiva Capital, and Funke Amobieson of Stanbic IPTC. In law, we have Leonard Sik, Adedoyin Rose Vivos, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professors Amasike and Chidi Odinkalu, Shade Dohati, and in communication, there is Amina Oyagbola, woman of substance, and our present President, Kesta Osahewe. In the academia, we have them aplenty as well. Professor Adamu Rashid, Executive Secretary of NUC, Professor of Sustainable Business, University of Edinburgh, Ken Amechi, and Abiodun Adeniyi of Base University. In politics, there's Bolaji Abdullahi, who was a transport minister, under the Jonathan administration, and most likely to become governor of Para State at the appropriate time. And Valentine Ozigbo, former managing director of Transcorp Hilton, who is also likely to be sworn in as Anambra State governor next year. In public sector, we have Hadiza Santali Said, and Antonia, a permanent secretary. In the health sector, we have them plenty. Professor Afolabi Lesi of the University of Lagos Teaching Hospital, amongst lots of others. So what is our guiding philosophy, really? Our guiding philosophy is to evolve, to grow leadership, such that we will not see leadership as something that is rather external to us, but as something that we can also cultivate from our little corner. That's why that's what we can see in evidence, what we can see showing in some of these names that I've mentioned. So we believe that we have a responsibility as individuals, as citizens, to show in ourselves the kind of leadership, the kind of leader that we want to see in others. That's our guiding philosophy, and we have pursued it, with great zeal to the best of our ability. So what are we doing with this essay? Dr. Abati and company. We're just trying to involve the youth in line with the growing conversation around the need to empower the youths, and in line with the recognition of the importance of the youth, consistent with the youth budge, and to get them integrated, in how solutions can be found to critical national problems. One of these problems we have identified is illegal or irregular migration. Why would the average young person rather prefer to die trying, crossing the Mediterranean, because of the proverbial golden fleece, that is evidenced in some of these Western countries. Assumably, though, what are the potentials, what are the opportunities available to them over here that they can explore? So we're challenging the youth through this essay, to find ways of exploring other opportunities, even at the level of intellection. And we believe that if we can cultivate, these ratiocination process, of course, we can come to some conclusion at the end of the day. That's the essence of this essay competition, like you rightly said in your introduction, as a way of our community service efforts and as a way of giving back from our own little corner. We're enjoying the support of the British High Commission as well, in terms of awards. Yes, we have contribution, but of course, it's a partnership and of something that is going to continue as we go along. So multiple channels have been created for candidates, to compete. We're using all the channels of communication. We're using the conversational one, the communicational one, and the informational one, just to make sure that we reach as many youths as possible and that the process is spick and span and is as competitive as possible. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Adeniyi, quite an impressive account there. Yeah. And I'm sure people listening to you, young persons particularly, will not even focus on just the essay competition that the Alumni Association has announced. They will also probably be interested in the Chevening scholarship program. Over 50,000 people all over the world have benefited from it. The applications for this year, the application has closed. It closed early November. But, maybe you will talk more about the Chevening scholarship program. You've been on it. What are the advantages? What are the possible opportunities for the benefit of other Nigerians who may want to benefit from it? And then very quickly, why the focus on illegal migration? And when you talk about alternative narratives, right, what are your expectations? Quickly, we need to go on break in a few, in about 2 minutes. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, but you see, it's a long-lasting program, put forward, instituted by the British government, to assist candidates from developing countries to benefit from British education and return at the end of the day to impact on their society. It's not a kind of scholarship that encourages you to stay behind. You return to your country and impact on your society, towards development. And of course, quite a number of us have returned. Of course, we've had some people that you probably call the proverbial bad apples. It will always happen. But a lot beneficiaries have actually returned. And of course, we can see the examples they are showing in their respective little corners. But overall, yes, it has closed, but it's an annual thing. And every year you see the British High Commission increasing the number subject to the availability of funds as announced, as provided by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. So the opportunities are still there. You can try as many times as possible. Candidates are encouraged not to be discouraged on the first trial. Second, third, and third attempts can also produce results. We have had people who didn't get it until the 7th attempt. So it's a continuing process, and of course, students are welcome always. Professionals are welcome always to apply. The channels for the dissemination of information around this is also multiple, and of course, accessibility cannot be in question, Dr. Bati.
Well, I mean, we'll take a short break, but you haven't addressed the issue about alternative narratives and why illegal migration. How important is that? But let's take a short break now, and then we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Still with us as our guest is Dr. Abiodun Adeniyi, Associate Professor of Mass Communication, Base University, Abuja, and has been talking about an essay competition announced by the Chevening Alumni Association of Nigeria. Dr. Adeniyi, thank you for staying with us. Before we went on break, I'd asked you to talk about the Chevening scholarship, and you've done that. But I was asking you what motivated the choice of topic for the essay competition? Why illegal migration? And what kind of alternative narratives are we talking about here?
Well, thank you very much, Doc. Yeah, the point is, over time, there are reasons that account for migration. Some of these have been attributed to education. It could be economic, it could be health. And of course, there are exilic migrants, people running away from persecution or persecution. And of course, there are people who move as a result of some momentary happenstances, you know, like shock from kidnapping, from banditry, and all of that, aside from those who are also moving because of alleged fear of bewitchment. You know, this is a fact from the African continent. So many reasons actually conflict to explain why somebody will want to move to a place where there could be safety and probably freedom, in terms of freedom from economic wants, you know, and freedom to be exposed to quality, better education. But in our own case over the years, studies have showed that it's actually essentially economic because our economy, you know, has been on a tailspin over the years. You know, youths graduate, no job, you know, and there are also cases of underemployment, medical doctors wanting to go abroad. It's okay because the world is largely integrated, the world is globalized, you know, the world is the center, like I always like to say. The world is literally placeless. You know, it's fine, but the consciousness that we want to arouse is, you know, what's your motive for migration? You know, if it is genuine, it's fine, because of course the country will eventually benefit on return, or perhaps through the much touted diaspora remittance. But of course, that migration, you know, needs to be legal. It should not be irregular, because if it is irregular, it creates further problems, you know, for you, because most of the time you get into this country and you spend ages, you know, 10, 15 years trying to negotiate belonging, and it becomes very problematic and alter your life expectation, you know, for life. You know, becomes a problem. Sometimes some people become depraved and demented, and looking backwards, you find out that some of those that you left behind are probably moved further than yourself. You know, and how about the danger of dying across the sea, like some of them also do? What about the danger of apprehension at entry points and ended up in jail, you know, or some kind of sanctioning as well? So the dangers are multiple, and that's why we're saying that rather than thinking of externalizing your hope in the first instance, why don't you first of all look inwards? You know, we understand that it's economic, and economic problem can actually be out of the range of the individual to immediately deal with. It's actually societal, sometimes it's also governmental. But what are the possibilities that you can explore from your own little corner as a potential leader and as somebody who is well empowered with possibilities, if you try to harness them by thinking deeply and by working harder? We know across the world that this hasn't been peculiar to Nigeria. We saw countries in the Asia Pacific those days moving to the West, of course, for economic reasons. But this time, well over 150,000 Chinese students are registered in the US institutions on an annual basis, and about 50,000 more are registered in UK institutions as well. What about the European countries? But these times, because of the change in the narrative around the Chinese economy, they just go, study, and return back home. Yes, we know we are not there yet, you know, but again, we know there is hope. So, apart from the social impact from the larger aspect of government, what can you contribute as an individual? That's the challenge we're throwing to the youths. And of course, it's consistent further to the national conversation around the increasing importance, increasing consciousness of the Nigerian youths in national determination.
Dr. Adeniyi, we're out of time, but let me just ask you, who is eligible to partake in this essay competition?
Well, it's essentially for undergraduates in Nigerian universities and other institutions of higher learning. And of course, we expect submission to be delivered in picturesque, even scintillating prose, you know, and they should talk to the issues. You know, of course, there will be credit referencing checks, so plagiarism is discouraged. If we see any plagiarized document submission, of course, we'll disqualify the candidate. So undergraduates, young ones who are still studying, are those that we are focusing on. And of course, the prizes that await them are ample. Most importantly, there will be a certificate of participation, a certificate of good performance at the end of the day, which is also going to be very good on their CV. So that's what it is for now. Well,
thank you very much, Dr. Abiodun Adeniyi. You can be sure by the next time you come on this show again, I will have gone to look for your full names so that I can introduce you with all your names. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining us.